Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to Weather for Weather Geeks on this 26th day of February 2021. February will draw to a close late this weekend. Also drawing to a close, meteorological winter, the three coldest months of the year, climatologically speaking, December, January, and February. On Monday evening on my weather blog, ericwfmj.com, I will do a post reviewing meteorological winter. We'll grade our forecast. Of course, we'll make a pretty big deal out of these winter forecasts that we do right around Halloween or early November. So we're going to look back and see how this year's forecast did. The snow season is not over. That forecast is first flake to last flake. But our temperature forecast is for the months of December, January, and February. Now, when we look at the averages in meteorological winter, they, of course, bottom out in mid-January. But this weekend, our average high is up to 40 degrees. In a sneak peek at meteorological spring, yeah, look how fast the averages rise. By the end of March and start of April, our average high is in the mid-50s, all the way up to 73 for that average high by the time we head towards the end of meteorological spring at the end of May. All right, but February is going to go into the record books as a cooler than average month. It'll probably end up around 3.5 degrees cooler than average, maybe close to 3. Kind of negating somewhat the warmth that we had earlier in meteorological winter. December was warmer than average. January was warmer than average. And February, you know, this kind of sticks out, doesn't it? It's only the 9th month out of the last 38, going back to the start of 2018, that has been cooler than the average. It's the most significantly cooler than average month we've had since November of 2019. Really the only month that was cooler than average by any consequence, any decent amount in 2020 was April. May was just slightly cooler than average, even though we did have some snow a couple of days last May. All right, nice looking start to the day today, but I'll tell you, there's a little bit of a forecast bust today as far as the cloud cover and temperatures went. The high clouds were a little thicker and moved in faster than it looked like they would, and that kept a lid on temperatures. Instead of the mid-40s today, we actually stopped in the lower 40s in most spots. All right, showers and steady rain off to our south this evening. Some of this is going to start to push off to the north. Notice it's snow in the mountains of West Virginia, where there are some winter weather advisories out this evening. There are also some flood watches out for parts of West Virginia down into Kentucky as well, and some flash flood watches and river flood watches have been issued for parts of southwestern PA for the rivers around Pittsburgh and points south. Because, yeah, some ice jam flooding and in addition, some bouts of steadier, heavier rain this weekend. We're going to be on the northern fringes of the rain for a lot of the weekend, so our amounts are going to be quite a bit more modest. But anyway, showers are going to start to become noticeable, I think, by about 2 or 3 in the morning. It's not going to be much, but a scattering of showers. Maybe a little bit of a break then for a few hours, and then as we head towards daybreak tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock or so, showers become likely once again. Once again, Penguin Game Day forecast for our Saturday afternoon kickoff at noon at the Ice Castle as YSU takes on Northern Iowa. Some late February football. I think it'll be dry by noon, and I do think the sun is going to try to come out as we go through the afternoon. So even though the model here is not real optimistic, I do think the sky will brighten some. Clouds then roll back in Saturday evening, and rain rolls back in for Sunday morning. I think much like Saturday morning at daybreak, in most spots it'll be raining Sunday morning at daybreak. But it's also not going to be a total washout. Now, showers might come and go into the afternoon, but they'll be most numerous, I think, in the morning. But unlike Saturday, I'm not real optimistic for any sunshine on Sunday. The rain's gone by Monday, and as March gets underway, pretty potent little trough of low pressure, that's that dashed black line. That's going to pivot through the lakes, and the atmosphere, I mentioned this last evening, in case you missed my discussion, the atmosphere is going to be what we call well mixed, especially if the sun really comes out in full force. We'll get a lot of rising and falling air parcels, and that means that some of the wind energy aloft, a few thousand feet above our heads, can get pulled down to the surface, and yeah, I think the wind's going to be pretty noticeable by the second half of the day. So hourly rain chances this weekend. Don't forget, you can always get these numbers on the Storm Tracker 21 app. They are highest on Saturday during the first few hours of daylight, then drop off pretty quickly as we head towards midday. Sunday, highest rain chances in the morning, but in the afternoon, still elevated enough that I'm not going to be shocked at all if we have a couple of residual showers during the second half of the day. I mentioned those heavier rain amounts to our south, Pittsburgh and points south towards Marietta and Charleston. For us, it's probably about 1/4 inch worth of rain this weekend. Not all the rain in the world, and you know, this time of the year, especially after some snowmelt, we keep an eye on the river gauges, especially a trouble spot like Eagle Creek near Braceville. It's been right around 7-8 feet. The latest observation, 6.69 feet. Once it gets above 8, That's what we call action stage, and minor flood stage begins at 9.5 feet. And it looks like right now we're going to stay below that because of the modest amounts of rain, and because our thaw over the last few days has been gentle enough that big-time ice jam floods and snowmelt floods not really likely in those trouble spots over the next few days. Mentioned that wind on Monday, not too much of an issue in the morning. I think that it's going to ramp up in the afternoon. There could be a gust to 35, 40, maybe even 45 before the afternoon is through. All right, I wanted to real quickly switch gears and talk about the longer range. I do think that temperatures will be in the 40s throughout next week in the work week, bottoming out probably with a high near 40 on Tuesday. But there's some model differences with a quick cold shot next weekend. The European model, we're going to look at some ensemble data here. It's pretty insistent that a real quick cold shot arrives Friday, Saturday, maybe into Sunday next weekend. Notice it has a high temperature of only 32 next Saturday. Again, this is ensemble modeling. This is the European. The GFS really has no such thing. I mean, next weekend it has highs upper 40s, lower 50s. The GFS does have the support of the Canadian ensembles, suggesting that not much of a cold shot next weekend. So next weekend's forecast is a little bit low confidence, but once we get beyond any potential cold shot next weekend, there is pretty high confidence that things are going to look pretty mild, I think, during that second week of March. Lots of highs, at least in the 50s, I think, are in our future from the 8th and 9th onward into that second week of March. You know, March is probably going to end up being much like February would have been in a La Nina year with other factors if it were not for that big polar vortex disruption that occurred in January, and we finally felt the effects of that in February. Initially, that polar vortex disruption, all the effects were on the other side of the globe, or the other side of the pole, over into Asia. But then in February, the tide turned, all the cold spilled back over to this hemisphere, and February has been cold as a result. But March, I think things are going to snap back to the way things were earlier in the winter. La Nina becomes the primary pattern driver, and that favors mild weather. Hope you have a good weekend, everyone. I'll see you back here on Monday for a fresh edition of Weather for Weather Geeks. Thanks, as always, for tuning in.